guys, it's Kaylee from K-Books and this is my wrap-up post for the month of July. Cannot believe it's August already. So this is my wrap-up post, so I'm just going to go through the books that I read, what I thought of them, what I rated them in July, and also my top 3 books of the month. So the first one I read was an audiobook, so I don't have a physical copy, and it was Jet by J. Crownover. This is the second book in the Marked Men series, and it is a new adult contemporary romance, and I gave this one 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I didn't like it as much as I liked the first book, Rule. Rule was absolutely amazing, but it was just as good. It was really, it was very, very good. We'd met Jet and Aiden in Rule, so I was really, really excited for their story. It was everything I thought it would be, and yeah, I really enjoyed that one. The second one is an ebook, so I haven't got a physical copy of this one yet, and it was Swimming to Tokyo by Brenda St. John Brown. This is a standalone novel, and it is also a new adult contemporary romance, and I gave this one 5 stars. This is one of my favourite new adult contemporary romances, purely because the girl doesn't have something like drastically horrible in her past, like a lot. Like a lot of the books in that genre and age group, they've, I don't know, been abused in some way in the past, and the lead character hadn't in this one, so I thought that was a very big redeeming quality for the book. It's one of my favourites. I loved it. The next one is The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. This is the first book in the Chaos Walking series, and it is a young adult dystopia. I absolutely adore young adult dystopia. They are my favourite type of book, but I ended up DNFing this one. I have such mixed feelings about it because I didn't usually, if I don't like a book by page 100, put it down. I got to about page 250 in this book because I was enjoying it. At the beginning, I thought it was really good. I was interested. It was very unique and different world. It's very uniquely written. Patrick Ness has a fantastic writing style. Like, it's so different, and like there's lots of spelling errors in the book, but it's because you read it as they would have pronounced it, so it's got that pronunciation in there, and I thought that was very clever. It's a good storyline. It's a very good storyline, but what I found is the further I got through the book, the less I was caring about what happened to the characters, and I was just getting a bit bored, and my interest was just waning, and it shouldn't be like that. All I was thinking was, what am I going to read next? Can't wait to start this book, and I shouldn't be feeling like that when I'm reading a book. I should be more invested, and I wasn't, so I ended up putting this one down. The next book I read was I Wish by Elizabeth Langston. This is a young adult paranormal fantasy book, and this was an ARC that I borrowed off a friend, and I rated it 4 stars. It was very good. I really liked it. It was very unique. I haven't read anything by Elizabeth before, but I do have her other novel on my shelf, so I'm really looking forward to reading that next. But yeah, I really liked it. It's about genies, and I haven't actually come across a series about genies before now, so it was very different and unique for me. So yeah, it was really good, and I'm really looking forward to book 2. The next one was another audiobook, and it was Rome by J. Crownover. This is the 3rd book in the Marked Men series, and again is a new adult contemporary romance. I love this one. I gave it 5 stars, and it is my favourite of the Marked Men series. I felt like it just had a bit more depth, with Rome being sort of a veteran, so he's been to the war, and so he had to overcome that as well as sort of the romance, so I felt like it just had that little bit extra in there to keep the story just fantastic, and it was really good. The next one, I have a copy, but it's going to look like I've read way more than I actually have. So it was included in my massive complete works of William Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. Like, I absolutely adore Shakespeare. I got this for Christmas a couple of years ago, and it is still without a doubt the best present I've ever been bought, because it's leather bound. I love Shakespeare. Everything of Shakespeare I have read, I have loved. And I was doing a challenge, the Chapter 5 Summer challenge on Twitter, and one of the categories was the classic. So I decided I would read something from my massive tome of Shakespeare for my classic, and I chose King Henry VI, Part 1. I didn't really enjoy it. This is the first time that I haven't enjoyed it. When I was at college, I studied English literature, and whenever all of my friends complained about Shakespeare because they said it was boring and laborious and horrible, I never understood it, because I have loved everything I've read from him, whether it's his comedies, it's his tragedies. This was the first of the histories I've tried. I wasn't a big fan. It was boring and it was laborious, and I did finish it. So I did finish it, but I gave it 1 star because I was genuinely just bored. So I still adore my Shakespeare, but I think next time I will be skipping over his histories and just sticking with his tragedies, his comedies, and the things that I know that I like. The next book isn't out in the UK until October, so this was an early copy I picked up at YALC, and it is Frozen by Melissa De La Cruz and Michael Johnson. So this is the first book in the Heart of Dread series, and it is a YA dystopia. I gave it 5 stars. It's absolutely phenomenal. Like, I couldn't put this book down. It is so good, and I was quite surprised by that. I thought it sounded amazing, which was why I wanted to read it, but I have read Melissa De La Cruz's Blue Blood series, and I didn't actually like them. They were okay, they weren't terrible, but they weren't brilliant, and they weren't memorable enough for me to continue with the series. This, however, is absolutely phenomenal. I loved every moment of it. I think the thing I love more is that it very crosses that borderline of dystopia and paranormal, because it is a dystopia setting, but there's magic in it as well, and I loved that magical aspect. I think it really made Frozen such a unique storyline than any of the other dystopias, and I love dystopia, so yeah, this is a fantastic book. The next one was an ebook, and it was Nothing Like the First Time by Karen Hughes. This is a standalone book, and it is a new adult contemporary romance, and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's a really fun, light romance, so if you like new adult, then I would definitely suggest reading it. It is like quite a lot of new adult books out there, but it is very good. The reason I gave it 4 stars instead of 5 was at the beginning there wasn't much flow. It was sort of this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, with nothing in between. But that did sort of sort out as you got further through the book, and I ended up really enjoying it. The next book I read was Soulmates by Holly Bourne. This is a young adult contemporary romance, and I gave it 5 stars. This book should come with a warning label because it broke me. I cried my eyes out for about an hour after finishing this. It is so heartbreaking and soul destroying, but at the same time one of the best books I have ever read in my entire life. I loved every moment of it. Holly Bourne is one of my new favourite must-read authors because she's fantastic, though she does bring the feels, so you might want a box of tissues for this one. But yeah, I gave this one 5 stars. The next one I read, I had a paperback, but I have actually passed it on to another blogger, and it is The Young World by Chris White. This is a young adult dystopia, and I actually DNF'd it. It sounds like a fantastic story. It's already been optioned for a movie, so I will most definitely be going to see the movie. But for me, there was this TV show I was obsessed with when I was younger, in the 90s, and it was called The Tribe. And it was basically about a virus had swept out all the adults, and so the kids formed tribes to survive, and they were looking for a cure because when they grew up they were going to get the virus, they were going to die. And this book is about kids who live in tribes, and they go on a journey to find a cure, because if they grow up they're going to get whatever and die. It's exactly the same. It sounded to me exactly the same, and it was just too similar for something that I love for me to really enjoy. So I DNF'd it. It's just too similar to the show that I love. And I mean, I have this show on DVD. I still sort of get them out every so often and watch them, because I just thought it was a fantastic show, and I just felt like it wasn't original enough. I mean, I know books have crossovers all the time, but it was too similar. It was kind of like he just took it and copied the idea. So yeah, I didn't finish it. The next book I read is Apple and Rain by Sarah Crossan. This is a young adult contemporary. I gave it 4 stars. It's fantastic. I would say that this is geared towards more younger YA readers, so sort of middle grade YA. It's fantastic. It's a very family orientated book, and that's amazing. It's amazing. Sarah Crossan is just such a fantastic writer, and it's so different from her other works that I've read, because I've read her Breathe and Resist, her dystopia. This is fantastic, and I don't want to say too much about it because pretty much everything you can say about this book will be a spoiler. It's not that big. I devoured it in one sitting. It's so fantastic and so emotional, and it's just amazing. The next book I read was Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. This is an adult thriller, and I DNF'd it. I'm typically not a thriller reader. I've only read one thriller that I've liked, and it was Jennifer L. Armentrout's young adult thriller, Don't Look Back. I just don't like them very much. They are very difficult for me to read because there's so many secrets, but I'm not invested in them enough to see the book through to the end. I get too bored. I saw the trailer for the movie of Gone Girl and thought it looked absolutely amazing. That's what made me pick up the book. Also, some of my friends were saying how amazing it was, and if you can get so far in the book, then you love it. But I didn't. I couldn't. I got over 100 pages. I was bored. I didn't want to pick up the book. I didn't want to pick up any book. It was making me not want to read, which is not a state of mind I like to get into. So I decided that I was going to just put it down and walk away. But I will go and see the movie because it does look like a fantastic story. The next book I read was The Manifesto on How to Be Interesting by Holly Bowen. This is her second novel, and again it is a YA contemporary romance. I love this. It's so good. It brings so many feels, not quite as many as Soulmates, but it's so good. It's about a girl who, she wants to be a writer, but she's bullied. She doesn't see that herself as attractive or anything like that. So she decides that she's going to come up with these 5 rules to make herself more interesting so that she can get more experience, so that she can become a better writer. And this is funny. You will be laughing one minute and just your heart will be hurting for her the next. It's absolutely fantastic. I loved it. It is so good. I gave it 5 stars. So this is a must read. If you're going to read one of the new releases from this month, actually, because it's out now, but it came out August 1st. there's one August release that you need to read. It is definitely The Manifesto on How to Be Interesting. The next one I read is Model Misfit by Holly Smale. This is the second book in the Geek Girl series, and it is a YA contemporary. I love this series. It's fun, it's original, it's written so differently, it's so authentic as to how a 15-year-old would write. And I love that she's a geek, because I can sympathise with her, because I was like she is when she was at school, apart from, well, the modelling bit. But yeah, she just comes out with these random facts, and I love that about her. And I love this book. These books, although they're not thin books, they are quite thick, long books. I just devour them. I just go through them like that because they're fantastic. You just love Harriet, you love everything, and I just kept reading and reading and reading and reading until it was done. I now have the third one on my Kindle, which I need to read this month because I'm dying for it. Definite read, 5 stars. The last one I read was a reread, and it was in preparation for a release in August. I reread Luck's Beginnings. This is the special collector's edition bind-up of the first 2 books in Jennifer L. Armentrout's Lux series, which is Obsidian and Onyx. I'm not going to say my rating because, well, I've already read them. I've read this series about 12 times. So this isn't going to be included in sort of my top 3. Even though they would be, because Jennifer's books always end up in my top 3. I've already read them once. This was a reread in preparation for the 5th book, Opposition, which, when filming this video, I've already reread the other 2 books, Opal and Origin, and I have finished Opposition. It was absolutely phenomenal and amazing. But yeah, I reread the first 2 books in the Lux series in preparation for Opposition's release. Here we are, guys, my top 3 books of July. Number 3 is Frozen by Melissa Dela Cruz and Michael Johnson. Absolute fantastic dystopia with a hint of paranormal in, which makes it so different from the other paranormals out there. I absolutely loved every moment of it, so that's just a must read. Number 2 is Soulmates by Holly Bawn. It's just a fantastic YA contemporary with a little hint of magic, so that really sets it out from all the other YA contemps out there and makes it just, it's a must read. It really, really is. And number 1 was an ebook, and it is Swimming to Tokyo by Brenda St. John Brown. It was just an absolute fantastic new adult contemporary. It's so different from other new adult contemporaries, which really, I think, earns it that top spot for last month. So that's all. Thanks for watching. Bye.